The other thing that impressed me a lot with the second quarter earnings of Facebook is their average revenue per user, right? They're just taking more dollars out of each user, at least in terms of the value of each one, like $3.82 a user. What's interesting is that, Facebook is an advertising business. The amount of money they're getting out of that from the second quarter is better than what they did in the fourth quarter last year. Fourth quarter is when all the advertising happens. That's when, advertising heats up, and the fact that they're able to do better in the second quarter is really interesting, I think.
So the bear question is, how much can they wring from each user? What is that ceiling?
Yeah. So they actually talked about in the earnings call a bit yesterday as well. They explained, there's only so many ads we can dump into the newsfeed before people start getting upset. So we don't want to do that. And there's a ceiling. There's a limit to how many people how many ads you're going to show people. So the next step is get more people and charge more for ads, right? That's the only way they're going to grow on that front. That's also why they keep making the argument for brand advertisers. Sheryl Sandberg, CEO, one of her favorite lines is talk about we have a Super Bowl-sized audience every day, every night. They're trying to get the TV ad dollars. TV ad dollars are the brand ad dollars. Right now, the ad dollars they're getting are mostly direct response ads, which is, right. Install this app, and they're great at that. But they want, the big brands coming in, too.
So I'm not a bear on Facebook at all, but I do wonder, to the extent you think the Silicon Valley bubble is going to pop, right. If you think it is, how that impacts their ad business. The reason I say that is if you go through Instagram or oftentimes the ads on Twitter, they are many times for new apps.
Yep.
Right? It's a lot of new apps out there.
Because it's a click-through on mobile.
It's a click-through on mobile.
Right.
And so it makes sense to advertise there if you are a new app.
Yeah.
But to the extent you believe that some, if not many, of these apps are going to disappear, what does that mean to the business?
Yeah, so you've lined it up exactly right. I think, a lot of the newer ads coming or the money being spent are, hey, download this app. If these apps disappear, meaning if startups, start fading because the way the economy is going, the way VCs are investing, that's going to hurt them. At the same time, I think there's enough, big brand advertisers still want to come in. They're still curious. They still want to figure out the best way to use it. Facebook has a whole department set up to talk to Madison Avenue. Here's the best way to use these kinds of things. And they're doing it. They're making it happen. I think it'll affect Facebook less than others, frankly. I think Twitter, it will affect a lot more.
I guess, are there enough Delta Airlines and Starwood hotels to replace the insert app here?
Yeah, and I think even those guys want an insert app ad too, right? So I think there's a level of direct response dynamic as well as, good brand advertising, meaning look at us, we're nice and, nice and
is your sense that ad prices are going down, or there's a chance they go back up again? We had Tim Armstrong on the show earlier this week after they did the transaction with Yahoo, and he talked about how programmatic advertising had commoditized so much of this and brought it down, but that he expects actually a shift back up again.
I think it depends on where you are, right? I think for that business where you're doing programmatic ad placements, there's always going to be, pressure on ad rates. I think what we want to look at when Google comes out later, we want to look at their CPC, their cost per click rates, right? Because that's going to tell us, the direction, at least for online advertising, where it's going. And I think it is flattening a bit. So I think, right now there's still a lot of pressure. I don't know that that's going to go up anytime soon. I think the advantage of digital advertising is that you can have that pricing pressure, right? There's a lot more players. There's a lot more places I can put my ad. So I'm always going to look for the best rates. And I think, that process commoditizes advertising.
Yeah,
for better and for worse.
People are